This is Don't Panic, episode number 338, recorded May 2nd, 2022. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and of course you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who are thrilled to finally be celebrating National Asparagus Month. It's Colby Rabideau and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen. Happy May.
There's a whole
Happy
month.
May.
Absolutely, there are. May is a whole bunch of things, but it is among them National Asparagus Month.
That's cool.
I
I just
know
had some asparagus last week. We missed it.
Oh, well, listen, you still got a long month ahead of you. Plenty of opportunities.
That's true.
You know, set yourself up for success now. Yeah, no, May is a lot of things month. In case you weren't aware, it's Correct Your Posture Month.
Standing up straighter already.
It's American Cheese Month.
Ooh.
I like that.
It is National Egg Month.
Wow, you could make yourself a whole meal out of the food groups that are
And I keep going. It's National Salad Month.
perfect.
It's National Salsa Month.
The dance or the food?
That's actually a good question. I actually am going to click through that. It's National Strawberry Month.
Wow.
It's National Hamburger Month.
Oh my god.
It's a lot of
These are all
food. National
solid
Barbecue Month. And it is salsa the food, by the way,
Nice.
to confirm that. So, yeah, a lot going on this month. And lastly, it is National Water Safety Month. So keep that in mind.
Oh yeah. Well, even more importantly, May plays host to the birthdays of 66% of the Don't Panic podcast hosts.
That's true. Actually, Colby, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I think we may have to replace Dan with somebody whose birthday is in May. I can't live with us,
Right,
being this far off. Dan, don't
Can't
take it
take it
personally.
anymore.
You were just
I
born
don't.
this way. We
Yeah.
kid. We've got enough May already. Yes, it is 2 May birthdays here.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great month. Hopefully. So what is good, my friends? What's the real deal here?
The deal most real.
Let's break it down. Come on. Gimme.
I'm completely empty, I think.
Come on.
Scratching my head. What interesting thing possibly happened recently? I don't know. I need a new dock. I need Colby's dock. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but some USB-C docks, they don't have good Ethernet. Mine is one of the ones that doesn't have good Ethernet. And it's been manifesting now as like sometimes my internet just slows down and then I have to like rejigger all the cables, which is annoying. But all the docks are sold out. Can't get a dock. So maybe I should just use Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, didn't you? Yeah, but you spent all that time wiring up your place, didn't you?
Well, right up here in the corner is a wireless access point that is down here in the lower level. So hypothetically, it should be pretty good.
Perfect. Yeah, so maybe you could try that.
Yeah, I will try that. Yeah. But it's annoying because, like, I guess I should take a photo. Where the heck is my phone? My phone's over there. But I have this beautiful Apple Studio display. And then dangling off of it, like, I don't know what to compare it to, like a growth, is this box with a bunch of USB-A cables hanging off of it because there are no USB-A ports on it. So that's what you got to do. And I'm not opposed to this philosophically. I need a dock that wasn't designed for a laptop. I need a desktop dock so it doesn't dangle. That's a tech thing that happened.
I have something crazy that happened,
Whoa. Okay.
and it involves technology. So this Saturday morning, there was a knock on my door, and I went to answer it. I actually was expecting a package, and it was some dude who I did not recognize. Just some dude.
Stranger danger.
Honestly, I should have stopped right there. And he was a very tall man. And he was standing there, and he said, "Hey, I don't mean to bother you. You got a second? I noticed you have a bunch of cameras on your house," which I do have several Wyze cameras around the perimeter of the home. I go, yeah. He goes, "Listen, I live I live down the way here, you know, the house," and he kind of describes it. I know what house he's talking about. He goes, "Listen, on Thursday I was robbed." I said, "What? What do you mean?" "Yeah, guys got in, they took like $100,000 worth of stuff, a bunch of jewelry, some Rolexes," which is immediately a red flag. I'm like, okay, this guy's a drug dealer. Like, I don't know what the hell. Like, and second, I guarantee you know whoever took your shit. Like, you don't accidentally break into someone's house that has that much valuable stuff. So right away, I'm just like uber suspicious. But I love that. So he goes, "Listen, do you like have the footage from your cameras from Thursday?" And so immediately I forget all the suspicious stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna help solve a crime.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I was lucky enough. I scrolled back through the footage. I did have it. And I was able, it took a while because he had another neighbor's Ring doorbell camera, the footage of the two cars. So he knew what cars to look for. And so I was able to scrub through the times that he knew they were there. And I actually saw both of them go by the house. Unfortunately, my cameras are the cheap Wyze cams. They're not high enough resolution to get a license plate, but I did at least have a timestamp and a video of them leaving his house after the robbery.
Wow. So this is, making up for the time you took your cameras off when your car got ran into.
Right.
Yeah, not nearly as exciting, certainly, but it is what it is. I can show you the. Not that it's interesting to anyone watching the video, but there's the suspect zooming away,
fleeing the scene.
Get him
away.
Get him. So in that respect, it did something. That's the one useful thing the cameras have ever done. So I'm glad I could.
That's great. It makes it all worth it.
Listen, I'm a beloved member of the community now. Hence my name in Riverside tonight, your friendly neighborhood Sean. So I'm here to help.
Wow.
So also don't come on my street because I am watching and recording you. At one point I'm like, is it wrong? And I'm like, but it is a public street. But I also am recording everyone coming and going all the time. Like if I were tech savvy enough, I would absolutely write some sort of software to scan the cars and AI match them so I could actually track like how often the same people go by. But I have enough other shit to do. So anyway, so that was my exciting story. I never heard from the guy. I sent him the footage. I said, "Good luck, my man. I hope you find him." And I never heard anything after that. So highly suspicious. He never said he went to the police. Never said he was sending him to the police. So immediately I'm like, for all I know, I'm going to get the police are going to show up at my door. Yeah, that guy you gave the footage to, he used it to go kill the guys who robbed him or some shit. And I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. So that was an oddball for me. And that's my story.
Nice. My tech story is that I think we talked about on the show before. I have a Series 3 Apple Watch, and it does the thing where the hard drive is empty, but it thinks that the hard drive is full.
Awful. Worst thing about the Apple Watch by far.
Perfect. Totally, really what you want. And which doesn't matter. I don't need to store stuff on my Apple Watch, but it becomes a problem when you try and update the Apple Watch because it's like, oh, you need like 500 megabytes free, and you have like 479 megabytes free, but you can't delete anything. There's nothing to delete. So the only way to do it is to like, sometimes it works if you just restart the watch, and sometimes you have to like fully like reset the whole watch and reinstall the software. And I just fully gave up doing that because it was annoying. But then the other day I got a notification that my Apple Watch and my phone were too out of sync. So they can't think it was like things are going to stop working. And the thing that has stopped working is the ringer, like the thing where you press the like ping my phone button on the watch. That doesn't work anymore, which is really.
And it sounds like you use that a lot.
Lifestyle. Oh, like 3 or 4 times a day. Now I have to look around my phone. I mean, look around the house from my phone.
I do lose my AirPods all the time. That I have used the Find My AirPods thing a number of times because they just fall out of my pockets into usually my couch cushions.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is that you can use your HomePod to do that same feature.
That's true, isn't it? I've done that before.
Did you ever lose your HomePod?
Not yet.
Thank God, I'd be really worried.
Yeah. Not geographically, but the series been a little wacky.
Temporally.
Yeah.
Spiritually
The other
lost.
day we came back and NPR was just playing on the HomePod.
That's
Don't know
really
why.
thoughtful. It's really polite.
Yeah. Unprompted.
You need to it's just letting you know that you need some more culture in your life.
Right. So you haven't been following the news enough.
Yep.
There you go.
Hey, look, it could be worse. They could be running commercials as you came in the house. You know, at least take it smart content. Oh, Colby,
That's
looks like
true.
you're home. Would you like some muffins?
I mean,
Well, but they would know you
Wouldn't
want
say no.
muffins because it's all, you know, because you had been Googling muffins on your way home. Muffins near me.
it's the way it goes. Muffins are us.
I actually had a question for you, Colby. I was thinking about you. I'm watching you. I was thinking about you, and I wanted a tech gadget follow-up, if you don't mind, with your remarkable tablet. We had talked about it when you first got it, the e-ink note-taking tablet, and I was curious now, a few months later, your thoughts.
I still use it. Yeah, I use it nearly every day, I think, for notes and things, and a thing to scribble on. It's fun to scribble on. It works. The battery lasts a really long time, which is great. Much
And how
like
do you-
your Kindle.
How do you
Yeah.
keep all the notes organized?
I don't. My
Oh.
notes are mostly garbage. It's it's quite uncommon that I like go back and reference something from a day or two. So I basically just have one notebook that like every day I add a page to, or 2 pages sometimes.
It was just a daily note.
Yeah. And sometimes like once in a while I'll have like a specific thing that I have like some notes for, but I really don't like to spend very much time organizing my notes because they're garbage.
No, that's a great thing about digital. They're very easy to get rid of. I threw out a stack. I cleaned my office the other day, and I threw out a stack of note cards about that tall with just random crap scribbled on them.
Right. It's pretty cool though. It works better than you'd think it would.
Okay, well that's
definitely like good enough. It's
that's
like
an endorsement for any product.
I think it's better for like tablet writing than like an iPad is.
Sure.
I haven't used any of the newer. I mean, it was a couple iPads ago, like the first Apple Pencil I've used, but it's still like it's better than that. But yeah, I would, if it sounds appealing to you, I would totally get one. It's
All
good
right.
stuff.
Yeah, I just fear it's one of those things where, because it's not like outrageously expensive, it's not cheap either, and I just fear like I would use it for a little while and get bored.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, the organization worries me because I really would want to group them by like topic and like a recurring meeting every week, like have running notes. And so keeping all of the different, but some of it would be random notes that I don't care about, and how to keep all that organized.
Right. There's like files, there's like folders. You can have folders and you can have different notebooks that you put in the folders. And there are like you can favorite things and they bubble to the top sort of. So there is some like, I feel like you can design the system you hope to have.
Well, and I wonder if it has, because I know people who really love. Are you guys familiar with OneNote,
The Microsoft
which
thing?
is Microsoft Office's like notes? Yeah. As part of Office.
Yeah, I've used that a little bit.
I know people at work who just absolutely love it, and who use it for everything. And I feel like that's a good, especially because we're all Microsoft integrated, Outlook and the different apps. And I wonder, and it syncs to all of our computers. So I do wonder if that's an option with this.
I think they have syncing via some, like they can connect to some of the like Dropbox-esque client things.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a thing, they have like some sort of cloud service that you pay more for that I have, but I don't fully understand what the cloud service is.
What you're getting out of it?
Yeah, like it wasn't well explained to me when I signed up. It was one of those like, oh, like pay $20 now and you can have this for a year or something.
Yep.
So I've had it for some time and I don't exactly know what it is, which is weird.
Well, Anyway, didn't mean to distract us, but I was thinking about it the other day. They're so God, Facebook ads are so smart. They know what I want to buy. I hate that. They keep sending me the damn tablet.
Yeah. I definitely had like 2 weeks at the beginning where I was like, really, it was very novel and I was just like fiddling with it because it was fun. But like I still use it even after the honeymoon period,
Well, I'll tell you the other thing I'm looking at. I love buying things. Capitalism is bad in most respects, but God, I do love buying things. That's why I don't have any money. Have you guys seen the Solo stove?
Yes.
Is that an outdoor, like a patio stove?
It is, but it's like supposedly, it's like the fancy version of that. It's smokeless. Like it has some patented bullshit design where it's like this little steel jet engine looking thing, and it's smokeless. And one of my coworkers just got one. And he won't stop bragging about how awesome it is. And I'm like, God, that would be great in my backyard.
Laura's parents have one of those.
Yeah?
Yeah. My mom has one. It actually works.
Yeah. It's no joke.
Yeah, it's like just taking off like crazy. So anyway, that's the other. Maybe I'll get that instead of a remarkable tablet. Can't set one of those on fire.
Well, you probably can. You can only do it once, though.
I'm just trying to decide. So I have on my deck, I have like the canopies that you can buy and build. I have a steel one. That's 100% steel. That's the new thing. And I'm curious if I can put one of these under it. It's not enclosed on the sides, so I think you'd get enough air, but I don't want to die of like carbon monoxide poisoning.
Well, are you willing to cut like a hole in the roof of your canopy?
Well, that would kind of defeat the purpose of a canopy, wouldn't it? The point is to have a roof. I appreciate the thought.
You could make like a little chimney, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, this thing isn't very tall, and it'll vent out the sides, so I think it might. I just need, it's one of those funny things where I just need someone in a 5-star review to say they did it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, it totally works for that. Like I always do that when I buy stuff where I have some weird use case, and there's one guy in the review who said, yeah, no, I did that, and it was totally safe, no problem.
No problem.
So
there you go.
Anyway, that might be it too. Do you guys have anything fun you're looking at buying with money?
New socks.
I just bought new socks. Because mine turned blue in the washer. I washed them with new jeans like a moron, and they turned blue. But they were also very old.
I have these merino wool socks, but they're extremely comfortable. but they don't last forever. And I've either worn holes or burned holes through them in the washing machine or dryer. I'm not sure. That's exciting.
I think that sounds great. What kind of a sock
That's
do you
about it.
like?
I
Talk
like
to me a
these-
sock from Dan.
I have them right here actually. I like these what is it called? Bombas merino wool socks.
Wow. But those have a high, those are tall. Those are sort of
Yeah.
mid-calf?
Well, it's cold down here in this half basement thing.
Is that what you wear when you're mountain climbing?
Yes, and they're also good for hiking because they wick the sweat away. Yeah, I like these socks. I don't know what else. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's very fair.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's all. I feel like as you get older, your purchases they do get more exciting, but they also get less exciting. So like for instance, like what if we were to buy a house? What would that look like? It's like, oh, well, it would be extremely expensive. So maybe not buying random shit is the thing I should start doing. I should start not doing that.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Buying a house is very expensive. And
I was just reading today, someone was like, hey, here's advice, before you buy a house, here's advice I wish I knew. And it was basically like, spend thousands and thousands of dollars right after you've bought the house to do this forensic analysis. Like hire like the pest control company to come do a preventative maintenance thing on your roof and your walls and tell you where all the holes are. Hire these sewer people to come out and like put a camera down into the line that runs from the street to your house and see, how's it going? Are there going to be any problems there? And a bunch of other things. And it was very eye-opening. I was like, oh, so these are just the things you do. This is the money you spend just to know when/if you have to spend even more money. It's like, oh, I have to replace the whole sewer thing that goes from the street to my house. Like that's extremely expensive. I might have to do it now, but I'll have to do it within the next 10 years. So like start saving up for that.
Yeah.
So anyways, Don't Panic, I think will turn into a home improvement podcast more so than it already has even.
I'm in favor of that. I continue to work on my home. We're all working hard here. I think it's great. There's a lot to learn.
Change the Don't Panic button logo to just be a plunger.
Oh,
those red plunger.
Although again, I want to be careful we don't tread on Don't Panic It's Organics turf. If we start getting into yard care and stuff, it's a slippery slope.
Right. The lawyers are going to come in.
Oh, they're brutal, man. They are brutal. Well, guys, why don't we take this opportunity, unless you have anything else, to pivot on over to the news. While you're looking at that, I want to thank everybody who's watching us live right now on our live Triplecast on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, including, guys, we have a new video viewer. They don't watch it live, but they do watch the video every week. My dad, who I would not say is a podcast fan. He's not even a Facebook fan. He only has it so he can Facebook message people. But he sees this come up in my feed and he watches it now and he says he likes it. So thank you for watching, Father. Maybe we'll learn something.
Shout outs to Sean's dad.
But with that being said, guys, what is story number one? We got a mix of them in here.
Let's talk about the Snapchat drone.
Yeah, when Snapchat does hardware, it's going to be wacky. And this is no exception. Introducing the Pixie. Now, of course, on the show before, we've talked about spectacles, which are their sort of sunglasses with cameras in them. Well, Snap is back with a selfie drone. It's available now for $230 in the US and France. It's small, light, There's no controller. It just simply takes off and lands on an outstretched palm of your hand, and it uses 6 pre-programmed flight patterns that are accessible through a dial on top of the device. It weighs just 101 grams, so it's very small, very lightweight. The battery should last about 5 to 8 flights. There are extra batteries you can purchase for $20. It's a 12 megapixel sensor, can shoot up to 100 videos or 1,000 photos on the internal drive. It's synced wirelessly to the memory section of Snapchat, where you can edit it and share it. It uses a bottom-facing camera to take off and land from your hand. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple device outside of that. There's no gimbal camera. There's no fancy blades. It's meant to be a pretty simple device. It'll follow you around as you walk around. It'll do like a 360 pan around you. It'll do one where it just slowly backs away from you. It's got all these pre-programmed flight patterns that you can check out. And while we're discussing it, I will play the. I'll share my screen and play the video for the video viewers who can watch.
Yeah,
along.
I'm looking at the video.
Yes, this Verge video of the device. I mean, how you'd say it's about the size of a note. I mean, it's
laser disc.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, it is about the size of a laser disc. You got it.
Nice.
So I don't know. What are our first thoughts on the Pixie here?
Does it come with a sling? A sling case? Am I seeing that correctly?
They have one. The article didn't say if it comes with it or if it's an extra purchase.
It has a sling case accessory at least.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a bummer. Like the raw video that they were showing looked pretty like jittery.
Yeah.
But it does look like it works, at least according to this review. And I love the returning to the hand thing. Like that's a very Apple-like move.
Yeah, putting the camera on the bottom, it's a pretty unique idea.
It seems
I'm
pretty
still
cool.
I'm confused about Snapchat's whole thing. I'm confused how they're still around and independent, but I guess grateful. And I'm confused how committed they are to this hardware stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. I would think that this thing probably didn't take an insane amount of money to develop. Like the software, certainly, but hardware-wise, I don't know if there's a ton in here that's really ultra proprietary. And so I think, Snapchat, I keep calling Snapchat, the company is Snap. They describe themselves as a photography or camera company. That's where the hardware comes in, along with obviously the app and the software. And I think if they approach it that as like a photography for the common man, so not high-end, not DJI, not high-end drones or Canon high-end cameras, I do think there could be an interesting market for people who want casual photography but find their cell phones boring, as a boring, limiting way to do that. Now, if this were $50, do I think they would sell a ton of them? Absolutely. At $230, do I think it's a bit more limiting? Probably. But I definitely think they'll certainly sell some.
Yeah. And so presumably you can export the video from Snapchat that this makes?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Dan. I think the biggest loss is the quality of the camera and the fact it's not stabilized. The fact that it's fixed to the drone, so any shakiness in the drone is going to come in the video. I think if they took this to $299 and fixed that problem, I think it's a really great product. I just think for what you're getting, $229 is a little overpriced, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is cool though. I hope more people make things like this. This is basically the better selfie stick.
Yes, I agree. But this is the kind of I've talked about Wyze on the show before, a company that kind of makes cheaper versions of popular tech products. Again, the company that comes out with this, where it's like 80% this good at 1/5 of the price, I think could sell a lot of these. I really, really do. I just think same with the spectacles. I think if the spectacles were $99, I think they would sell a lot of them. I just think these price points are just a little out of reach.
Maybe they're before their time.
Well, and I think maybe they're okay with that. You know what I mean? The spectacles came out, and then what? 5 years later, Facebook came out with the Ray-Bans with cameras in them that basically, as of today, don't do much more than what the spectacles did.
Right.
So,
Man, I walked by I don't know what store it was, some sort of eyewear store, and they had a big ad for like the Meta glasses. But I certainly don't hear about the Meta glasses anymore.
yeah, I mean, it's always that fine line of, is it a real product or is it a proof of concept for something that's coming? I don't know. I mean, I would say Snap is smart to not go into the high-end drone market. I mean, that's saturated.
Now, if I share my screen on here, will everyone else be able to see it?
Yeah, and it'll be recorded.
Okay. I was trying to find the Meta glasses. And so I Googled, why is this thing acting weird? Oh, there we go. I Googled Meta glasses, and I was like, oh, this looks right. Meta glasses store. What the heck is
the
this?
metaverse. Oh, this is awesome.
This is like the top third of it looks like a ride from Disney circa 2007. And then, whoa!
Oh, you gotta subscribe to the newsletter, Dan.
Gotta subscribe to the newsletter. And then the bottom third is an ad about easy-to-use pet food topper. Oh, I guess this isn't part of the ad. So anyways, I tried to find these glasses, and I couldn't find them.
Oh, I think these are all like China knockoff bullshit.
How do I find the Meta glasses? What are they even called?
They're not called the Meta glasses. I believe they're just. I bet if you just do Facebook Ray-Bans.
Facebook Ray-Ban.
Ray-Ban Stories. That's what they're called.
Stories.
Yeah, I know. Pretty weak.
Boy, that's not a good product name.
It wasn't even their idea.
A new way to
Yeah.
capture, share, and listen. It's cool. But now I'm looking at this Meta Glasses store, and I really want to buy some of this wacky knockoff shit. Goovis? You want a Goovis VR headset? Goovis from our fine friends at Goovis. I mean, they have like Vive. I think it's just like a reseller, but they have all these like. You can get like the. They say they have the Ray-Ban stories, but I don't know if they're the real ones. All right, what's the cheapest
$300
thing
for the
they
Ray-Ban
sell?
stories. It would deliver next week though. No supply shortage there.
I can get a Panasonic VR headset for $59.99. Now, I'm not sure if that's Panasonic or Samsonite. I guess both. This is great. All right. Very cool. So you go, that's Pixie. You can check out that pixie.com. Doesn't sound like any of us are going to take the Pixie challenge, so.
I would think about it. If I was going somewhere cool, I would think about it. But I think much like Google Glasses, I would be most worried about looking like a giant asshole using this.
Oh my God. Could you imagine watching someone with this thing?
Yeah.
Out in the park, just like standing there while it spins around them.
I can picture it. I was there, Sean. I was there.
Yeah, you remember.
10 years ago, when walking down the Brooklyn Bridge, it was like playing limbo with 3,000 of your closest friends dodging all their selfie sticks. It's going to be like a beehive there if this stuff takes off.
They'll all be banging into each other.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting to
Fighting.
see. What happens when you have all these pixies, like hundreds of them all in one space?
Well,
How
one
do
of
you
the
tell them
things
apart?
well, one of the things the review said was that the way the Pixie works is it won't track anything other than a person. It won't track a dog or a car. It only track a person. And it actually doesn't do great with multiple people in the photo. It's really designed to track one person. So I'm curious if there is a crowd with a bunch of pixies. God, you may walk off with someone else's pixie. I have no idea. Absolutely wild. All right. Well, let's see. Is there another story in here worth discussing? There's Apple's self-repair program.
Well, weren't we promised an in-depth analysis of the Elon Musk Twitter takeover?
I totally forgot about that. Let's see. Okay, I wasn't ready for this. So my understanding is that
No pressure.
That last week, was that last week? I guess it must have been last week. At some point, when the news stories were like, "Oh, Elon Musk has bought Twitter," those headlines are kind of misleading, but not really. And so my understanding of what actually happened was Elon Musk he acquired several promises of money. Like he said, I will agree to sell this much stock in Tesla. And then he went to a bank and said, and this bank will give me this much money and use the rest of the Tesla stock as collateral so long as the price remains above a certain amount. So to actually cover the loan.
Yeah. And I have the exact numbers here, not to cut you off, Dan, if it's helpful. It was 13 billions in loans secured against Twitter, which means that if he doesn't pay them, the banks will own Twitter, and a 12.5 billion margin loan tied to the Tesla stock, which means if it drops by more than 40%, they can demand the loan be paid in full at that point.
Yeah.
So you know when you hear those private equity stories of like, oh, Bain Capital bought Toys R Us and put $5 billion worth of debt on it, and then they went out of business. Sounds a little familiar.
Yeah. And so then he sent the board this offer, like, hey, I'll buy it for $54.20 a share, and here's how, and I'm good for it. Here's the proof. But the other thing is, like, he isn't buying Twitter technically. He created a company that he is the, what's the word for something officer, the controlling officer or something? Yep. He is the only employee of and the controlling officer of this company. I think it was called X3. And then that company is going to be the one that actually that is going to merge with Twitter. Because if you want to buy a company, I think you need to go through a bunch of other steps. But if you're merging with a company, you don't have to go through any steps. So that's why it's a merger technically.
Not a sale.
Not really an acquisition. But then the other company is just going to dissolve and it'll just become Twitter. So it's effectively the same thing. But I was asking Lena all these questions like how, because I understand how does it buying a company and taking it private actually work? Because if you own the shares, so like if I don't have one anymore. I used to have a share in Twitter. But that thing can be taken away from me basically at any time, it turns out, at the board's discretion. And there's all these complicated rules about that. So like when you own stock, you don't actually own anything. You own a piece of a company at the convenience of the company. Yep. And technically, so the other question I was asking is like a big part of compensation for all these highfalutin Silicon Valley people is their stock options. And a stock option is, hey, 4 years from now, I'll let you buy from the company a Twitter stock at this specific price, which is hopefully lower than the market value of the thing. And then you could turn around and sell it and make money. And that's hence where you get these crazy, total compensation packages. So I was like, what happens if someone buys your public company and takes it private? what happens to stock options? And I think the technical answer is they could just say you're totally screwed, and then all the employees would leave, but they wouldn't have to fire anyone. But apparently they decided not to do that, and instead we're just like, we'll pay you for your stock options for them in air quotes, because they're not, they don't have to do anything, but I don't know who they is. Someone convinced Elon Musk to spend a bunch of money on that part as well. So that's my understanding of what happened.
Cool.
Yeah, you're basically right. I mean, that's and of course this hasn't actually happened yet. It's in the
Right. The
process
board
of
has entered
happening.
into an agreement to do this.
Yes, absolutely. And I should mention the remainder.
But,
I talked about the two loans. The remainder he's paying for out of his own money, mostly from he sold about $9 billion worth of Tesla stock.
Yeah. But my understanding, is like there's basically no world in which this doesn't happen at this point. So unless a human decides not to do it, there's no like, unless the Tesla stock drops 40+%, there is no technicality on which this will not go through.
Yep.
Weird.
So that's my understanding. I was listening to a very persuasive argument today. These people were not fans of Elon Musk. They're basically saying that Twitter probably shouldn't be a public company because it's not a very profitable company. And all the things that would make Twitter better are things that a public company would not want to do. Like, imagine if it's like, all right, Twitter, $10 a month for everybody. That would severely reduce the bot problem and the amount of trolls on the platform. But Twitter wants to be able to make more than $10 per month on each user and have tons of users to achieve like the uber mega growth public company flywheel of doom. So they could never do that. But maybe now they could do that.
I have no guess as to what's going to happen with this guy in charge of the company. I really don't. Maybe he could make it really profitable. I mean, listen, I don't think the man's very smart. He grew up a very rich young boy. He happened to invest in the right people. Basically stole Tesla from the guys who started it. I mean, he knows how to hire smart people to see out a vision and turn his money into more money. More power to him. Maybe he'll do that with Twitter. I don't know. What I do know is that Twitter now has billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of debt on top of it. And that's always the scary thing with these types of deals. I mean, there was a good example of when that worked was famously when Dell was taken private, which at the time I think was one of the largest deals of this type. In 2013, Dell was taken private for $25 billion at the time, taking on an insane amount of debt to do so, and they ended up coming out stronger, and then going public again, actually, after a while.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm gonna stay on the optimistic side, but the leadership isn't what scares me. It's the financials that I agree with you, Dan. I think at some point Twitter had to do something and change some things, and Twitter Blue was an experiment, and maybe new leadership will help. I don't know, but I don't know. My biggest fear is this will make me get a life, and I've done a really good job of avoiding that up to this point. You know what I mean? I don't know if Phil Lopez is watching the show right now, or he texted me, and this is a total coincidence. I don't think it is. I think he's watching. To a friend of the show, Phil Lopez said, Twitter should be a subscription when you pass a certain number of followers. Celebrity and corporate accounts get so much free marketing from Twitter. Pepsi, Elon, or the Kardashians would pay up. So you only pay if you're famous.
That's smart. Phil's a smart guy.
That's a good idea. That is a good thought. Thank you, Phil, for that. And let me know if you are watching or that was just the world's craziest coincidence. But then again, he's texted me some weird things out of the blue. So stranger things have happened. All right. Well, guys, unless there's another news story you want to talk about, we can pivot on over to the picks. Picks, it's the part of the show where we just bring something we want to share with the world, and we want to share it with you guys. Guys, I'm going to go first because I have the simplest. I have a lazy pick. One of the lazier picks I've ever made. And it's playoffs time. Playoffs. It's the time of the year when my two of my favorite sports, Phil says he's watching. Thank you for watching, Phil. I'm glad to have you in the U.S. again, at least temporarily. It's my favorite time of year because two playoffs overlap. Tonight was the first night of the hockey, the NHL playoffs. The Bruins lost in their first game. Very disappointing. It's also, we're in the second round of the NBA playoffs. So go watch some sports. Playoff sports is when shit gets really exciting. And basketball is going to be a lot of fun this year. And I think hockey is going to be great too. So that's my pick. Go watch the playoffs. It's on basically every night. So find a game and enjoy. And go Bruins and go Celtics. Or really any team. I'm just a fan of the sport. Okay, Dan, what are you playing?
I'm playing a cool game called Inscription. Inscription with a Y. I think it's only available on Windows, which is a shame because it's a game that could work really well on anything. It's another one of these like deck building games, much like Slay the Spire, which I think I picked a long time ago. Basically, you start off with like a simple deck and you move around this like linear map. You have to move forward, and you play through these like little mini card games, and sometimes you get to collect new cards, and sometimes you get to remove cards, and so on. And you go as far as you can, and then you lose, and then you play again next time when you feel like it. I don't know if there's an end to this game yet, but the cool thing about this one is it's one of those meta games where there's lots of stuff that happens in the game that's very unexpected that breaks the rules. So like there's this person sitting across from you who's playing like against you, and they do crazy shit and they ask you to do weird things, and sometimes your cards talk to you and you pick up a card and the card is like, oh, this is like a card with a personality and like it's gonna say stuff to me. It's pretty fun and amusing. Inscription. Am I right that it's only on
It is only on Windows. You are correct. So go get a Windows computer, then play this. Rate it overwhelmingly positive on Steam. So that is great. Inscription with a Y. That's great. Thank you, Dan. And Colby, take us home. What are we watching? You got a fun one.
So there's a show on Netflix called Old Enough, which is, I was told it's a collection of one segment from a Japanese like variety show. And the premise, like the episodes are like, they're like 10 to 20 minutes long. Like it's not really a full episode of a show, but it's basically just like in Japan, it'll be like a family will send a child who is like usually like 3.5 years old to do a series of errands around town by themselves, and there's a camera crew following them and filming the whole thing as the child like walks like 2 blocks down the road and like goes to the grocery store and then comes back. And it's very silly. It's funny to watch. It's a weird one, but if you need a little break from all your golden age of TV.
Yeah, no kidding. No, this is great. Very fun and positive. I just caught up on Moon Knight.
Ooh, how was that?
I've been really not a fan of the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus. I think the episodes are too long, and I think they're slow, and I think they're kind of a bummer. I liked Moon Knight a lot. Actually, Oscar Isaac is out of his goddamn mind in that show. It's great, and the pace is good. So actually, I would recommend it.
Nice.
But this is great. Old Enough on Netflix. Check it out. I'm definitely gonna Definitely gonna watch these. Awesome.
I'm trying to think. Episode 8 is like a roller coaster of old enough.
That's a good place to start.
I don't know if I would start there, but like if you
Build
want to
up
have
to
an
it.
experience,
Love it.
episode 8 is the one. Work up to it.
Very good. Old enough on Netflix. Awesome. Hey, great picks all around. Some fun stuff for people to enjoy, pass some time with as we head into May here, guys. Great episode. Great stuff happening over here at the Don't Panic program. I hope everyone out there is having as good of a time as we are. Before we get into the info on the show, I cannot let us get out of here without mentioning UpForDebate.tv, Up for Debate. Great episodes, guys, being published this week. The USFL is back, and Matt and I go deep on the new league. We've watched the games. We've evaluated the teams and their mascots and the rules, and we get animated. We get excited, and I'll tell you, it's hilarious. It's a really good one. You're going to want to check that out, and we have a lot of great episodes coming up in the future as well. So check that out. And I'm also told that Matt has a new secret podcast he's working on. That we'll be fans of here on the show, and I'll be sure to cross promote coming out in the next week or two. So something to look forward to on video games with some pals. So should be nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
And I know this because a certain somebody is helping him produce it. So, but I'm not going to say who that is. But it's going to be great. So check those out. Of course, check out our website, don'tpanic.io. All the episodes are there along with the links to the picks. So you don't have to remember. You can go right there and check them out. Of course, you can follow us at Don't Panic Show on Twitter, or email us don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get podcasts, the audio version everywhere, and the video version on YouTube. And now that Spotify supports video podcasts for everyone, I've got to figure out how to get our videos on there. So that's on my to-do list, so people can watch our pretty faces. But that's it. We're done here. Now, I will say I haven't told Colby and Dan this. There's no episode next week, unless you two want to do one. I won't be here next week. Because I will be at a work event and unavailable. So there will be an episode. That's why you got to subscribe. I don't know when we do episodes. We do them when we can. So make sure you subscribe. You'll get the next one in the feed. But until then, I'm Sean. They're Colby and Dan. We appreciate you being here. And we'll see you next time for another great episode